Welcome to the Talent Show. What's going on, y'all? So good to see you for episode number 10 already. In normal circumstances, we'd already be halfway done. We would already be halfway done throughout the season, but this fifth season, 5-year anniversary, doing things a little differently. So, we may see a little 30, 40, maybe even 50 episodes this season. So I'll keep you guys updated on that as we continue moving forward. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. As we move forward real quick, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Your simple 2 seconds to take it and press that subscribe button helps us move forward and helps us keep sharing stories as we move forward in our journey. So thank you guys for doing that really quickly. Look, man, this is before I introduce our guest, I'm just going to say this is going to be a super fun episode, a super informative, and overall probably going to be one of the best conversations I've ever had in doing this. So put your seatbelt on and buckle up because it's going to be fun. But without me yapping, let's introduce our main man, Will Z. Tidwell. Woohoo!
But yeah, man, thank you so much for having me, D. I've been following the show for a while, man. And as you can see, you being on the sports platform, I've been coaching AAU all weekend, so my voice sounds like Doc Rivers right now. But we here, man. We here. I'm happy to be here, man.
Man, I'm happy that you're here. This has been something everyone watching and listening we've kind of been trying to do for a long time, actually. It's not been able to until this point, but grateful that we're even able to do it now. And there's going to be so many things as we talk about just Z in general, but also his journey, his story, and just all the informative knowledge that he has. So appreciate you for joining me, man. And before we move too forward, man, really quick, for people watching and listening that may not know a lot about you, just give a brief kind of introduction about who you are as a person, just maybe where you're from, what you do in your life now, and just some things you've been able to accomplish to get you where you are today.
Yeah, man, like you said, my name is Will Z. Tidwell, man, born and raised here in Little Rock, the south end of Little Rock, Arkansas, man. Been here my whole life. And I grew up with my pops, man, been an entrepreneur, man, been on the same block for 50 years. And on that block, man, I think I saw so many things. I saw entrepreneurship, I saw community, I saw brotherhood, I saw shop talk, I saw mental health, advocacy, not even knowing that's what I'm seeing. And I think being molded by those things helped me become who I am now. So when you see my content talking about business, entrepreneurship, mental health, I think a lot of that is where that stems from. It's how I was raised and what I was around. And so now what I really built a name on, man, was the first community outreach. So we served 100,000 men, women, and children with programs for the youth, less fortunate, stuff like that. I think it's even how we connected is you just seeing me doing a lot of that work early on for like the first 10 years of my career. And I kind of pivoted from there. So now I'm more into the media side. I'm more into, like you said, content. I'm more into youth programs with the city of Little Rock and things of that nature. So more established now, right? More of a bigger brand where like I don't have to work so hard for what I do. But it all started for me grassroots, everything myself. Serving these kids, speaking for free, doing all of the things, and now I get paid to do what I love. And so, yeah, man, I got my hands on a little bit of everything from community outreach programs to still speaking to schools and programs. Like you said, helping brands build and grow, nonprofits build and grow, and just using my expertise and my passion to help other people, man. And that's all my goal ever been.
We met my 9th grade year at Estem. Yep. They had brought you and you kind of spoke to us, and I think that's how we connected and have stayed connected throughout the years. So everyone that may not know who I am, I'm a junior. About to be actually my last week. I'm about to be a senior in college now, which is insane. So Z and I have known each other for a while at this point. But I think one of the things that is correlated with me is that you do so much like myself, and I think it's so hard to obtain doing so much. And you just talked about it, and I kind of want to stay on that topic. We'll talk about coaching, man. How'd you get into that? I recently got into it, and it's been such a joy for me to do. But what's your experience in kind of installment been in it like so far, man?
Man, it's a humbling experience, first of all, because it shows you don't know as much as you think you know.
Yeah.
Like you can know basketball, right? Yeah. Like some people don't know ball at all. Like you can't talk ball with them. But then we start coaching, and now I'm coaching like our top grassroots program in Arkansas, the Arkansas Hawks. So they expect us to compete. We're supposed to win, right? We playing against other people. We're supposed to win. And so when you start being with some of the great coaches that I'm around, you start realizing, man, you got a long way to go. But also it's so rewarding because these kids, they teach you just as much about life, about basketball as you do them. So I think the biggest thing that I've been able to pull from it is never stop learning and never stopped growing. And how I got into it is because obviously I hooped myself. But I made a lot of bad decisions, man, when I was in school that never let me truly show people how good of a player I was. Some people knew, but I never got to show it consistently on the court because I couldn't stay on the court because of either grades or just academic problems. And you remember back when Estem was around, when Estem was first starting, when we were in school, Estem didn't play.
Yeah.
If you had any academic or behavioral problems, you would get expelled. If you fought, you got expelled. Now it's a little different, right? They're a little more lenient because I think they're more public funded now. But back then, they didn't play. And so I just couldn't stay out of trouble, man. And so me being able to, with the opportunity to coach, it kind of felt like a second chance. It kind of felt like another chance to right my wrongs in so many ways. Not me so much trying to live my dreams to these kids, but just teach them everything that I know and hopefully make sure they don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, there are some great kids, and like I don't want them to not be able to show how talented they are because they can't stay out of trouble, because they can't stop making mistakes. And so I think it's a combination of things, man. But the main thing being, man, just trying to help these kids avoid some of them same mistakes and get the chance to show the world how amazing they are, because they are. And so that's really my goal, man, and how I got into it. And I love it.
Yeah. I love that, man, because I found myself having a greater joy, because it's cool to be able to teach people, certain things about the game, about basketball that maybe they didn't know, on how to, do this on the court, and, how to be a leader in the locker room, and et cetera, et cetera. But, teaching people life inside of being a part of that game of basketball, it's been so rewarding. For me growing up, people always tell me you're so mature, and I'm like, that's because I grew up around my grandparents, my great grandparents, my aunts and uncles. I was filled with knowledge at a young age, so being able to instill that same knowledge to other people is fulfilling for me, and I get that from coaching. I get that from doing this. So I love to hear you say that, because there is a true reward from it, and I hope that people doing anything in their life are getting an actual reward and enjoyment and fulfillment from it, not from a selfish perspective, but simply helping others. Like I do this, I tell people my name's on it, but it's not about me at all. Like, this is not about me, and I aim to share people's stories and give other people a platform. So I appreciate you for sharing that, because that resonated with me really hard, man. I want to go back, man. I am through thick and blood, Little Rock, Arkansas. I rep it so hard. It is a place that I forever will be home, forever I love, learn so much from the city of Little Rock. And we, again, have so many similarities in our paths in terms of growing up. But just for you, man, growing up in Little Rock, what did that mean? What does that mean to you? And what has Little Rock meant for your life so far up to this point?
That's a great question. I think coming from Little Rock, man, it's taught me how to maneuver and move in the overall real world.
Yeah.
Because coming from where we're from, if you don't pay attention to your surroundings, and you're not aware, and you're not constantly trying to figure out who you are going to be in this world, you'll get lost.
Yeah.
Because what I just tell you, I come from the South End, which is a very rough place.
Yeah.
But I knew very early on I wasn't a hood dude.
Yeah.
I wasn't meant to be a dude that was doing a lot of things some of my homeboys was doing. Now, I tried it, right? And I very quickly figured out that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And I think coming from here, it'll make you realize that overall in the world, if you don't take the time to figure out who you are and what you want with your life, you'll get sucked up out here, and you'll get lost. Yeah. And you'll never know who you are, because this is a place of survival for real. Like, if anybody that know about Little Rock, this is one of the most dangerous places in the world, in the country. Right? Like, this is one of the more dangerous small cities in the country. And again, it just taught me how to move. It taught me how to navigate. It taught me how to stay true to myself, even if certain people didn't understand me. Mm-hmm. Because what it kind of goes back to is growing up the way I grew up, talking the way I talk, acting the way I act, versus me maturing. Like you said, I had older parents. So when I started to mature and started to evolve, and now I'm talking the way I talk on the internet, I'm making these videos, and they're not blowing up yet. They're not going viral or none of that yet. A lot of these same dudes that grew up where I grew up, they laughing at that, because that's not the Z that they know. They're not the person that they know or that they grew up with. But then when they see me change, and they see me start to come into my own, they start either accepting that, or we started to grow further and further apart. And from that, even though it was uncomfortable, even though I wanted to slip back into old habits just to fit in and to feel loved and accepted. One of the greatest decisions I ever made was to truly be myself. And so what Little Rock means to me is that it taught me how to be myself. It helped me discover who I really am. That I can be a dude that comes from the hood, but I don't have to be hood. I can be a dude that grew up around certain things, but that is not who I have to be. That I can be my intelligent, smart, amazing, well-spoken self and not have to dim that light or go down to a certain level just to be loved by certain people and accepted by certain people. So that's what Little Rock means to me, because it helped me become who I am. And it's helping me continue to evolve into who I am. And I never shy away from who I am. And I never am ashamed to tell people where I'm from, because like it can get like that real quick, right? But I'm not ashamed anymore. I'm not trying to fit in anymore. I'm not going to lie about who I am and what I feel and what I think, because I want to be liked and accepted. And I think me being able to move that way throughout my career and through the business I do and anything is actually brought me way more blessings and opportunities than I ever could imagine, than I thought I had to do by being fake. So that's what Little Rock mean to me, man. It helped me be tough. It helped me have to grow up quick. It helped me be able to learn my surroundings and be tough in business and in life, and just be able to survive. If you can grow up here and make it and live past 18, I think you can make it anywhere. Yeah. So that's what I think it helped me do, bro. It helped me just grow up quick, man, and know that how to navigate in this world, because it don't care nothing about you. And so I think that's what Little Rock prepared me for, man. And it's home, and once you get past the bad stuff, it's actually a really close-knit, loving community. With some dope talent and dope people here that often get overlooked because most people have never heard of here. So if you can make it out of here, you can make it out of anywhere. So I think that's what Little Rock has taught me, for sure.
This doesn't really correlate to what you just said, but for some reason you're talking and it brought in my mind. I want to ask you, for you doing what you do and everything that you do, running a business, helping the youth, coaching, being a mentor, et cetera, what have, if any, struggles have you faced simply because of the color of your skin? And if any of you have faced, how have you kind of overcome those challenges and struggles throughout your career so far?
That's good. Because you start to understand this. It's a difference in running a business that feels like a hustle and running a business that's actually really making a change and being profitable. Because it's cool because my biggest thing, because one of the things I always preach in business is this: you never want to have to wake up every single day and hustle for every dollar. You want to build a business that has recurring income and contracts and things in place where every month, every week, every bi-weekly, these checks are coming in. But in order for a Black man or any person to build a business like that, you have to get in certain type of rooms. And 9 times out of 10, that's going to be people of other colors than yourself. You're going to have to learn how to navigate, especially in the nonprofit world, right? Which is where I really came from, essentially. I came from that world first and foremost. And in order to be in that world, the top Heifer Internationals and the Thea Foundations and the I'm forgetting the Hour Houses and all of the big places that I've worked with. In order to be able to get in those rooms and actually make a change and get them to sponsor you or cut a check or bring you in for a big event or whatever, you got to move differently. And a lot of times you got to be okay with being overlooked and being seen as the little bro or the insignificant one almost, until you continue to prove yourself that I actually have value here. And that you can't keep overlooking me because I'm making so much noise. So I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people think they're doing great business right now, and they may be. I'm not doubting that, right? But the difference from making a couple $100 in a contract to making thousands of thousands in a contract is literally you being able to get in the room and literally being able to make a name for yourself to show people the value that you bring. And even sometimes when you show the value, they still might not give you the opportunity because they're going to give it to somebody that they know. They're going to give it to their nephew. They're going to give it to their best friend's son. That you have to deal with the politics of it. And I think that's the biggest thing I've had to deal with is like, I know I'm good for that. I know I'm a great speaker and you should bring me in for that. Or even if they try to bring me in, they know how talented I am, but they want to do it for free. And so I think, again, that's why Little Rock is so important to me, because it taught me, reminded me who I am. So even when they try to shortchange me, and overlook me and doubt me, right? I still stand strong on that. And sometimes you have to walk away from something you may really want just because that person doesn't value you properly, just because that person doesn't see the true value that you bring. That's one of the hardest things you have to do in life sometimes, is to say, man, I really wanted that opportunity, but they can't treat me right, and they can't respect me, and they can't give me the value that I deserve. I'm not settling for that. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest things I've had to deal with, is like, man, I really wanted to work with that person. Man, I really wanted to be in that room. Man, I really wanted to do that opportunity. But maybe it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, because when you walk in them rooms, it's very rare that you see a lot of us. It's very rare. The ones that make the decisions, it's very rare that they look like us. You feel me? And if you can, again, work those type of rooms, you can work any room. Yeah. So that's where I'm at, is learning how to work those rooms. But at the same time, I'm not going to kiss your ass to, can I cuss on here?
Yeah, you're good, man. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not going to kiss your ass to just to be able to get an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? So yeah, I've dealt with it, man. I've dealt with it because of my age, right? I know you have too. You're so young, right? You're so young doing what you're doing, which is why you said we remind each other so much of ourselves, because we're so young trying to make moves. And I've seen some of the names you had on your show. I know that wasn't easy to get those people that respect you enough to come on your platform. But eventually they did, because you kept putting in the work. You kept putting the episodes out. You kept grinding until they start finally saying, you know what? You've done the work. You know what? Let me come on and support you.
Yeah.
But that's hard.
Yeah.
So they overlook us because not only what color we are, but how young we are, how inexperienced we may be. But I look at it like this. How can I ever get the experience and the opportunity if you keep overlooking me?
Amen.
You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I've dealt with all that. But if you let that stop you, again, you'll never make it anywhere. Because if you can't make it here, you can't make it nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it, man. But yeah, absolutely. Deal with that type of stuff all the time. Absolutely.
Thank you, man. Man, so much that I want to say off that. I think firstly is this podcast has been like the greatest joy of my life. And I started this when I was 15. And you said getting in those rooms, and for me, just going off so many things. It's like now we do a thing here at Ole Miss called The Season, where like they have, kind of video documentaries following all the sports teams throughout their seasons. And there's a video clip of Coach Yo, our women's basketball coach, at a press conference after a game. And then it pans to all the media members in the room, and I'm the only person of color in there.
Wow.
And there's there's times in meetings or kind of speaking events where people from either alumni or just people from major companies come and speak, and when they're people of color, they kind of point me on like, Dalen, because we always kind of have to work harder or do different things differently because of our color of our skin.
Right.
And it's like, it's great, but it's also that struggle. But I also hope what I'm doing is inspiring some kid younger than me now, or even older as well, that they see me and they're like, he can do it, then I can do it too.
Absolutely.
But you spoke that good point, because when I was younger, I made those connections with my teachers in high school. So many of my teachers helped me get guests on this show. Like, so many of these guests have been because of teachers or mentors. Even my old barber back home, he's helped me get guests back on. And that's simply because I valued those relationships. It's not only just gaining those relationships, it's also keeping those relationships, which is even harder than getting them. So I appreciate that value, because what we do is not easy, but obtaining what we do is even harder, because it's so hard to start this. But I tell people this, I didn't really start seeing actual growth and change until I finished that in this 4th season. So it took me like 4 years to actually, in my opinion, to see where I wanted to go and where I wanted to be. And it wasn't easy for doing this to almost 4 full years. And I'm like, can I keep doing this? Is this sustainable? But I had to, because I knew what I wanted from the life and I knew what my impact was. Yeah. And so I appreciate you for saying that, man, because it's so deep. It's so authentic, but it's something I think that people in our day-to-day lives, we don't remember that. I think we get so caught up in life in general, work, kids, school, money, blah, 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 whatever it is. We don't remember the value of what our life truly is. And my value is different from yours, and yours is different from everyone else's. but we all have a different value. We all have a talent from the man up above that we all need to utilize and maximize to the best of our ability. So thank you for sharing that, man.
That's good, man, for sure. For sure.
You talked about your father, and I know he's very special to you and very kind of influential in your life. What has he meant for you, and what was some of the things that maybe he instilled in your childhood to help you become the man that you are today?
Me and my pops always had a love-hate relationship because we were so similar.
Yeah.
And that's a gem within itself that sometimes we can try so hard not to be like someone in our life that's super influential on us, or may have been super influential on us. We try so hard not to be like them that we don't even realize a lot of times we end up becoming just like them. And that's what happened to me when I was a young kid. My dad was the center of my life, my favorite person in the world. And as I got older and I started to see some of his habits, not so much. And then I started to realize, he's just a man and he's flawed and he makes mistakes. And because I became a young man and I started realizing how hard this thing called life really is. And that sometimes he didn't do it because he wanted to. He did it because he had to. He did it because it was on the option, or he did it because he was just imperfect. And so I think what drew us closer is I started to live my own life and just see how hard it was. And some of the things he instilled in me from a young age, like I remember just being a kid, bro, and it'll be summer vacation, and everybody else is like at summer camp or Boys and Girls Club or whatever. And he would wake me up at 6 a.m. on a Monday after I played ball all weekend. He would wake me up on a Monday morning and we would go cut grass. I would have my own lawn mowing service, in the 4th grade, cutting grass for him. He would do the weed eating, I would do the pushing. He would let me make all the money, save my money at the end of the summer, and I would buy my own school clothes. I would buy my own shoes. I would buy my own school supplies. Not because he had to, but because he was instilling something in me, bro. That whatever you want, you got to work for it. That you got to work, then you go have fun. As soon as I finish if I woke up at 6 a.m., we done by 10, then I can go to the Boys and Girls Club with everybody else. And I'm up before they even thought about getting up. And so I think from the conversations, being around him, seeing the work ethic, him doing the same thing for 50 years, bro, imagine that. Like these kids today could never do the same thing every day for 50 years, go to the same place, stand on their feet every day. I get so bored doing the same thing for one day. So imagine doing that for year after year after year. So not only did he instill me that come work first and play later, but I think he also instilled me that sometimes in order to get what you want, you got to do the boring shit. You got to do the shit you don't want to do. Yeah. You in order to be a true man and take care of your family, you got to suck it up.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll have everything you want, because now he's making 6 figures a year. He retired. He's semi-retired. He only goes to the shop because he want to go. Yeah. He's doing what he want to do. He got a nice crib. He got his cars. He's living his life. And so I think, if anything, bro, despite our differences, he's taught me that in order to be truly a man, in order to truly be able to live the life you want to live, you got to do the things you don't want. You got to do the things that suck. You got to do it even when you don't feel like. You got to do it even when you got every excuse in the world not to go. You got to do it even when he owns the barbershop, so he got to do it even when people walk out on him. They were supposed to be paying the booth rent, right? I've seen him go through so many stages, and he still showed up. He'll go from having 6 people in the barbershop full, everybody in there working, till they walk out on him for whatever reason. He still showed up. And he still did the work. He didn't make no excuses. And so even though he a hard ass and a tough ass and an old school type of dude, he instilled something in me so special because he showed me how to never give up. He showed me how to roll with the punches. Now, sometimes it can be a little toxic because he's a very non-emotional person. He doesn't show a lot of emotion, right? I can count on one hand how many times I've seen him cry. But which is why I struggle with it, because some people think I'm so nonchalant, but sometimes it's just that I just deal with adversity differently than most people. Instead of me crying and whining about it, I just figure out the solution and how to deal with it and move on. It might not be the most healthy way to deal with some things, and I know that. right? And I'm working on it, and I'm trying to be more vulnerable and more open, because that's what a real man is too. They can do those things. But at the same time, I'm not going to spend so much time whining about what's happened to me, or complain about what I'm going through, that I don't still handle my business. And so I think that's what he's instilled in me, bro. It's like, handle your business. You can cry about it later. But at the same time, I also learned from myself and what not to do from him, that it's also okay to cry. It's also okay to be vulnerable. It's also okay to show emotion, which is part of the reason him and my mom are separated now, because he struggled with that. And so, man, I learned a lot from what not to do from him, but also I learned a great deal of just how great of a man he was, and he is, rather. And so, yeah, man, I hope that answered the question, because he taught me a lot of lessons. And again, we had a very complex relationship, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's again so relatable. My mom and I, growing up, had that love-hate relationship. Just because we were so alike. And you know, I thank God for college, because that distance has made us closer than ever.
Absolutely.
But her actions in her life have instilled in me to what I aspire to do in life, and how hard my work ethic is, and why I want to be so successful. Because I've seen her single mom with this kid by her on her own, you know, kind of struggling at points from different jobs, still pushing and still going and still figuring it out. And that made me want to just still push and still figure it out and still do it. But it's also real that you said at the beginning that you try so hard sometimes not to become someone that you kind of watch and inspire and live your life around, but you end up kind of becoming that person.
Absolutely. Without even knowing it, bro. Without even knowing it. And sometimes it take another person to point it out and say, because I remember my girl said it, she said it, you just like your daddy. Yeah. And I got so upset. Because I'm like, no, I'm not. She said, look how you acting. You just like him. And as much as it hurt me, it also made me realize how much I needed to change some things, but also embrace some things.
Yeah.
And sometimes take another person calling you out on it to make you realize you need to grow and how you need to change. But sometimes, are we receptive to it? This other half of it. So that's a great. It's so good you said that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah.
No, you're good, man. I wanted to ask you this before I even asked you about your dad, but I kind of slipped my mind. But if you were talking to somebody that's aiming to be entrepreneur, they're kind of getting their feet wet. They're like, hey, I have this idea, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe they've started and they're trying to figure out the keys. What would you want to tell them in terms of finding that navigation throughout their career to elevate themselves, but as well stick with the passion that they have in terms of doing whatever it is they're doing in their entrepreneurship?
That's a great question. My formula has always been to monetize your passions, because I think if you're trying to monetize something, it's just like a quick get rich thing, or something. But this is the balance between monetizing your passions. Monetize what you love, but also monetize what other people need.
Yeah. Those
two worlds have to meet. It can't all be about, I want to start this business because I like this. And it's just because you have to ask yourself, is it just a hobby, or is it something that can actually be profitable? You dig what I'm saying? Because if you can make the two worlds meet, where it's like, I'm passionate about this and I love this, and people also need it, now you cooking. Because, prime example, I love to do community work, right? That's how you met me. I love to do community work. You met me speaking, but you also knew about my community work.
Yeah.
I love to do that work, but I didn't make a lot of money from that.
Yeah.
Because I knew people needed it, but I didn't know how to monetize it.
Yeah.
Right? Or I love to speak. But I didn't know how to make people need it. I didn't know how to monetize that yet. Right? So it took me having to bump my head, figure it out, have an odd job here, have a side job there, hustle and do some other things to make ends meet, while I struggle to build the brand enough to figure out how to make those two worlds meet. And that's the problem with a lot of people. They think that when they have the idea and the business and the thing that they want to do, that they immediately have to quit everything else and focus solely on that. But you still got to remember, you got to live. You don't forget, don't even mention if you got kids, right? Or expenses to take care of that really need to be taken care of. You might not be able to afford to drop everything and just focus on your brand alone. You might have to go get a night job. You might have to do some Uber. You might have to get a bartending job, right? That's what it looks like in real life to chase your dreams. Because if you go listen to these internet people and all I'm doing is telling you to quit your 9 to 5 because you deserve to be happy, but you also deserve to be able to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You also deserve to be able to put food on your table. And sometimes in order to truly build the brand and build your business, you got to put your pride aside. You can't be prideful and say, oh, I want to work for myself full time and try to stunt for people like you doing that when you struggling. One of the most stressful things to do is to try to build a business when you have no income coming in or the income is scarce. That is one of the most depressing things to do, which is why I always preach have solidified income in a brand. Have contracts in place where you know I'm making X amount of dollars a month. Because that is one of the most stressful, depressing things ever, bro. Is to wake up every day, busting your ass, hustling, trying to make $1 and not knowing where the dollar coming from. But if I got a career or I got a job while I build a business and get it to self-sustain itself, that's the formula.
Yeah.
But it's got to be something you love.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that makes sense. It can't just be all about, oh, this is what I'm passionate about, but does it make sense for the consumer?
Yeah.
Can the consumer actually use this? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're going to quickly find out if it's not a real need, if it's all about a want. What are you going to do when the consumer starts to show you that I don't need that?
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So I think the biggest 3 things I just said there is I want it to be something you're passionate about, but make sure it makes sense for the consumer.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough money in place and put up for a rainy day, then it's okay to have a side hustle or a career. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed about that. Right. Yeah. And I think the third thing is take your time. Take your time. Don't get pressured into the pressure you see other people putting on you by saying they quit their job and you don't know the story of how they got to that. Your journey is going to be totally different. But I think if you follow just those basic 3 steps, you can figure out the rest. You can figure out the business plan. You can figure out the marketing. You can figure all that shit out. But if you don't have that as the foundation of this thing, it's going to be very, 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 very hard to build it. Very, very hard. And that's what I've experienced, man. Is like I was trying to be so prideful of the past, and I did it, right? You know, but I don't recommend it to everybody. I struggled, right? I didn't eat some days, or I didn't have money some days. I couldn't afford to take care of certain things sometimes because I had a dream, and I just knew I couldn't work for anybody. And if you want to gut it out like that, then do it. But that ain't for everybody. That ain't for everybody, bro. And so, yeah, man, that's what I would say. That would be my main 3 things. You gotta love it. Yeah. If you don't love it, and you don't, and if you don't even know yourself enough to know what you love, that's the other half of it. Because I had to go through some struggles in my life. I had to be homeless. I had to see my parents separate. I had to lose basketball. I had to lose a lot of stuff to realize, oh, I do like writing. Yeah. Oh, I am a great speaker. Oh, I do love community work. Yeah. I do love podcasting. I do love content. But I had to lose a lot of stuff. And it's sometimes in your brokenness that you're going to find the most beautiful things about yourself. So don't be afraid of those things either. Like embrace the broken times in your life because you're going to look back and say, oh, maybe God was trying to show me my gift in that broken time. Maybe I was discovering something about myself I never even knew. Yeah. So we're ashamed of the scars a lot of times, bro. We're ashamed of the dark times in our life. It really might be the most beautiful thing that ever happened to you. But not if you run from it, right? Not if you don't embrace it. Yeah. Because from that, your gift may be hiding. And that's what I learned, bro. So, yeah, that's what I would tell them.
Oh, man. You're killing me. You really are. I want to go off that kind of last point you just made, though, before I get into everything. But from July 2024 to like midway through October 2024 were some of the hardest months of my life. And in that time, one of the big things was I was questioning whether or not this is what I wanted to continue doing. For a lot of different reasons. And I'm kind of just stuck on what you just said because of that. As you said, sometimes in your brokenness, God shows you what your gift is, what your talent is, what you're great at. And in that moment of kind of insecurity, doubtfulness, kind of questioning whether this is my actual passion and this is my path or not, I found that in my brokenness that it was. And it wasn't easy to do that, but I was able to. And I think that's so valuable because of the points you made talking about why it's important to have these things to be in this entrepreneurial world. Like I said earlier, I didn't start seeing that growth until the 4th year, 4 dang years of doing this before I started seeing something that I was like, okay, I can move forward on that. I can now start making money, et cetera, et cetera. But like Z said, it's a little bit different for me because I'm in college. I'm still young, figuring that lifestyle. Some people were trying to do this. You're in your older 20s, 30s with kids, a lifestyle, home, et cetera, et cetera. You're not able to sacrifice those other things just to solely kind of do this, even if you are truly passionate about it. And I've had to also sacrifice other things as well to continue doing this, to do this and do other things so I have money in my pockets. And I thought that was so valuable because it's so easy to sacrifice things that we're not really sure if we're ready to sacrifice them or not. And when we do, we kind of look back and we're like, maybe I did need to do that, or maybe I could have done that at a different time. Yeah. But you also have to look at it as you talked about it, your why. That has been a very big portion of season 5 so far. Is the just why and why you're doing something, and I emphasize that so much. If you're in that latter parts of life where you're figuring out things and you're like, I'm not doing this for my correct why, please figure something out. Yeah. And I mean that wholeheartedly because it is it's a thief of joy to be doing something in your life, with your life, the one life that you get, and you're not loving and doing something that you're doing in the terms of the passion of the why that you want to do it. So thank you for sharing that, man, because...
And real quick, D, you said something that sparked me, because the other half of it is sometimes we'll create something that's very profitable.
Yeah.
That actually is doing really well. I have parts of my brand that used to do really good. But I'm not going to lie. After you get over that high of how quick the money comes, you start to realize, I really don't like this.
Yeah.
This doesn't bring me joy for real. And that's the other half of the equation. Yeah. What do you do after you launch something to the world, right? Because most times when we get a new brand, we go to Facebook, we go to Instagram, we go to these places and we launch and tell people about what we're doing. What do you do after you telling the whole world about this new thing that you're doing because it make great money for you? It may be very profitable. But then as soon as you start to really get into it and you're doing it every day, you start to realize, I don't like that as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
I'm not as passionate about that as I thought I was. Are you bold enough to say, I'm going to leave that alone? And I don't care what other people have to say. I don't care that people are going to judge me because they think I quit something. I'd rather them judge me for putting it down than be miserable every day trying to keep up a facade for people. And that's what a lot of people do. They get stuck in something because it's profitable or because it makes them a lot of money. And those are sometimes the most miserable people. And that's the other half of it. That's why I said you got to love it. And you got to be comfortable with who you are. Yeah. Enough to say, I'll walk away from this, even though it's doing me good money. Because are you happy?
Yeah.
Because if you're not happy, if you spend more time on the business because it's profitable, it's profitable, but you can't even spend the money. What's the point?
Yeah.
You feel me? And so that's the other half of it, man. It may be doing you a great deal, but you're miserable.
Yeah.
You can't even spend the money you're making. You can't even enjoy the fruits of the labor because you put in so much labor just to keep the brand up. That's a miserable way to live. So that's the other half of that, man. You just kind of made me think of it as you were talking, man. Again, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good, man. I promise. I don't even know if I've ever shared this on camera or audio throughout the 5 years of me doing this, but I know I've shared it with people that have asked. But the reason I do what I do, and I say that in terms of the interviews, and instead of, because when I first started this during COVID, the initial project was talking strictly sports. The Knicks just beat the Celtics, blah, 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 blah. Jalen Brunson had this amount of points, blah, blah, blah. I was going to do like a little sports talk show, et cetera, et cetera. But I kind of sat down and deciphered what was my true impact. And when I was young, man, I would always tell myself that God put me on earth to help other people. Right. And I thought, okay, so how can I do that thing? And I was able to sit down and think, okay, well, maybe we could share some stories with people in the sports world, and have them come on, share their stories, their life advice, their wisdom, et cetera, et cetera. Then it kind of blossomed, over season 4 to people a little bit outside of sports, et cetera, et cetera. But we talk about that. I said the why as well. I think it's so important to understand your gift. And for me, it was easy because I was able to do that at a young age, but everyone may not understand or know their gift until they're 35, and that's okay.
That's
but
real.
it's also big why you have patience. Somebody also asked me a few episodes ago, what advice would I give to someone wanting to kind of do what I do and be in the sports media, where I'm like, patience, patience, patience. Everything is not gone my way. Everything is not where I want it to be yet. But I'm still here, and I'm still blessed, and I still got this, and I'm still moving forward, and I still am 20 years old, 21 next month. I'm on my 5th season of this when I started when I was 15, which is insane. And I still got the patience to know my greater gift is coming at some point in my life. So patience is key, but as well, that why. So if anybody's listening to this and they're tired of us rambling about this topic, if you take anything, please take patience and why. So thank you, Z, for that. Man, Estem Public Charter School, man. I know you could probably talk along about that, but it's you kind of mentioned it, but we grew up in that Estem portion, man. Estem didn't play no games back in the day, and I look at it now, and it's don't get me wrong, Estem still great, but it's like Estem now. It's just like I look at it sometimes, I'm like, that is not the Estem that I grew up with.
Absolutely. Let's be real, bro. It's the ghetto now. Let's be real. Let's be real. It's the ghetto. They fight every day, bro.
And I'm like, this is not the Easton that I know. John Bacon back in those days, Cindy Bart, they did not play those games.
No, sir.
And so it's funny that you talked about it earlier, but just, man, Estem Public Charter Schools, what is Estem? What has Estem meant to your life? How did Estem value and create the man that you are today?
I came from Mills, right? Which was
the rival.
Right? Mills was what Estem is now. In a lot of ways, there's a lot of fighting, right? I mean, not so much some of the other things that you see, like kids having sex in like the craziest places and smoking weed in the bathroom in the middle of the day. Like, that's where I came from, in Mills, right? And I went there for hoop dreams. Didn't really pan out. Coaching change came from the coach I really went there to play for. He retired the next year. They brought in a new one. So a lot of things changed. And so I was like, well, maybe I need to change too, and go somewhere also that's better for me academically, because I was struggling academically there because of just the distractions and just young and trying to navigate high school. I was just struggling, right? And my best friend was there, and so I was always acting up with him. And so I just needed a change. And so we kept hearing about Estem. This was fairly new because I was in the second ever graduating class at Estem.
Yeah.
I was in the second one ever. So it was like 70 people in my graduating class or something like that, 75 or something crazy. Might have been 100 at the most. And when I got there, man, I thought it was going to be all Caucasian people. I thought it was going to be all white people when I first got there. I was like, no black people are going to be there, because I was playing ball. We started actually working out the summer of my 10th grade year going to the 11th. That's when I finally got there in my 11th grade year. And I worked out, but it was all black people on the team except one guy. And so I'm like, well, maybe the team is black, but all the students are going to be white. Yeah. So I get there, man. It's the most diverse school I've probably ever seen. It was everybody. It was black people, white people, African. We saw some Chinese. Like, I saw a little bit of everything. So I think number one, what it did was opened up my world to realizing that there's so much more that exists out there than just me.
Yeah.
Right, because again, I went to school in South End my whole life, and I went to Mills, which was ghetto within itself. And so all I saw was predominantly black people my whole life. I didn't know how to at one point, I didn't even know how to talk to white people. I didn't even know how to hold a conversation, right, with other people in my race. And so I think what it did was it really helped me start to hone in on my speaking skills. It really started to mold me into being a leader. Now, true enough, like I told you, I stayed in a lot of trouble. But once I finally got in trouble that last time, and I got basketball taken away for good, and I didn't get to play my senior year, and that hurt me to my core. It made me also realize that the world don't care nothing about you. That they will They will chew you up and spit you out and move on from you, right? If you don't make the right decisions, if you're not doing the right things, if you don't take heed of the opportunity that sometimes only comes around one time.
Yeah.
So Estem means a lot to me, man, because it grew me up. It made me realize that it really is on me, because if you remember, Estem was like a college in a way, right? From the academic side, especially, there was nobody really holding your hand and babying you and standing over you and making sure you did what you were supposed to do. If you didn't, you just dealt with the consequences of it, right? Especially if you were in like AP classes and things of that nature, because we were always the top school academic.
Yeah.
And that's what it did for me, bro. It grew me up. It bumped me up. It's kind of like this video I saw last night of T Grizzly talking about how the moment he got arrested and they put the handcuffs on him for that first time and took him to jail, he said instantly he learned his lesson. And I felt like that with Estem. The first time I really got something taken away from me that I loved, I instantly learned my lesson and realized, oh, if I don't do the right things, nobody cares about how talented I am. They don't care how handsome I am and my smile and my gifted gab and how good a basketball. They don't give a shit. They will take that part. They will take it away from you and move on and forget all about you. And it humbled me to realize you ain't all that. Because ain't that how we move a lot of times, bro? We move with so much pride sometimes that we're invincible. Especially when you're a young kid. You don't think anything can happen to you. You think you're above the law. You think that you're better than certain things, until that one person or that one institution or whatever, that situation comes to your life and says, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not. It can happen to you too. It can be taken away from you too. And if you don't get it together, you won't even graduate. And it got to that point for me. I almost didn't graduate, bro, because I was being a knucklehead so bad. And it grew me up, man. It opened my eyes to what real life was. It put some people around me that truly loved me and poured into me. And I think it truly helped me become Speakupzee. I think from there, Speakupzee was really born. The brand was really born. The voice was really born. My style of speaking really became my own when I was there, especially when I graduated soon after and went to college that first year. All of that just started to evolve, and I became who I was supposed to be, because I took all of that pain, all of those mistakes, all of those experiences, all of those stories and memories, and I put it into my writing. I put it into my content. I put it into what I share with the world, man. And from there, stuff started blowing up. And I felt like, damn, even though I was supposed to hoop, at least through college, I knew I wasn't going to NBA or nothing, but at least through college I was supposed to. I did something way better. And now I'm one of the top speakers, not only in the state of Arkansas, but I feel like in the country. And so it means the world to me, man, because it humbled me. It molded me. And it slowed me down and realized, like, if I want to live this life right, I got to make some changes. And I'm still learning from that today, but yeah, it slowed me down. It changed me for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Talking about Estem, man, for you at this point in your career and throughout your journey, what has it now meant over the years to now be able to go back to Estem and have those conversations with students in Estem, and not just in general, but as well? How does that reaction feel for you to just get that invite from like Estem, that moment in my life where I grew so much, but I also struggled so much? What does that feel like to be able to be invited and go back to that place that kind of molded you to where you are, but it's also to a place that is very so special to yourself and to students as well?
I would say that was probably one of the best speeches I've ever given when I went back. They brought me back for like this highlight. Were you there? And Miss whatchamacallit class that day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Miss Griffin class,
do you remember the name of that series? I forgot what it was called.
Walk in Your Shoes is what I think Miss Griffin used to call it, because I used to be a part of some of them and kind of helped her out with some. So Walk in Your Shoes was what she used to call them.
Yeah, that's right. And this is back when Coach Howard was still there as the AD, or she might have been the principal by then, whatever. And when she asked me to come, I was a little nervous because I'm like, what do I say to a bunch of kids at a place where I used to be a failure? What do I say to a bunch of kids at a place where I made so many mistakes?
Yeah.
Right. And I said, tell them just that. Tell them about the mistakes. Talk to them about the realness of this life. thing called life, rather. And it meant so much to me, bro. And I think I spoke with so much passion that day and so much realness and rawness. So many people were so receptive to it, including yourself, I feel like, right? I feel like you're one of the people that DM me after that show, after I finished that day, and just kind of let me know how you felt about it. And, some of the parts that may have stuck out to you guys. But I think to this day, that's probably one of the better speeches I've ever given. Because when I was writing and preparing, I just wanted to be real and raw and transparent and not come in like this perfect goody two shoes. They got it all figured out. I didn't want to come in that way because I didn't want to confuse y'all. Yeah. And then y'all grow up and realize, oh, life is nothing like what he said.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it meant a lot, bro. And it meant a lot to me to do well that day when I came because I just wanted to be myself. I just wanted to be myself and I wanted to be honest. I didn't want you guys to ever think that I was lying to y'all or just trying to put on a facade. I wanted to be real. And I feel like I left that day doing that. So it meant a lot, bro. And I took pride in it. And I prepared for that speech a long time before I got there. As you could tell, I had that down packed. So, it meant a lot, bro. And I wanted to deliver. And so I tried my best.
One of my big things, man, is someone may not remember exactly what you say to them, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And I don't exactly remember what you said that day, but I know that you made a positive impact on me. And I think what is also so big in terms of what you talked about today and exactly what you just said is just being real and authentic. Whenever people ask me to speak, if I et cetera, I give it to them real. I'm not this 4.0 student. It's all been sunshine and rainbows and I've been nothing but perfect and blah, blah, blah. Heck no. And it's come to that point where I think that I've grown in terms of this and the other kind of sports shows that I'm a part of that people kind of look at me in that eye and I'm like, no, like I'm a human being. And at the end of the day, you make mistakes, I make mistakes, we all make mistakes. And it's so real for me to always put that real out there because people look at me and I even feel from my perspective in terms of people, my peers in college, people younger than me, even older than me, like this dude's doing so good at his age. He must be killing every aspect of every part of life. And I'm like, no, like I'm genuinely still trying to figure this all out. And what was so much of a struggle coming into college is, like I said earlier, when I was in high school growing up, people always say, you're so mature and you're so ahead of the game, blah, blah, blah. So when I got here, I was like, oh, this is about to be a breeze. College and growing up adults is about to be a smooth for me because I had these older people in my corner all the time that were telling me all this knowledge and, giving me all the platforms and the keys. So when I got here, I was going to prepare.
Different world.
And it's real. Because that's how life is. No matter you could try so hard or something, you can be so prepared and you can still fail. And that's the harsh reality of life. But it's also important for me, like you just said, to tell people the honest truth because I don't want people to think that, again, it's all sunshine and rainbows. It's not. But that is the beauty of life. You said it and we talked about it. I got so much envy from last year throughout so much struggle and pain and depression. But I was able to see my value through that time. And that's why it's so real for me to share those things. And, sometimes it may be overbearing people. Like I was having this conversation the other day when people ask me how I'm doing. Yeah. Like I'm not just like, hey, I'm good. No, like I will tell you like, I'm doing all right, man. Could be better, could be worse. Or, had better days, not my best day. Or like I'm doing good or I'm not doing the best. Like I'm brutally honest when someone asks me how I'm doing. Which is very rare. Yeah. And it's like, for me, I'm going to always be honest and authentic. If no one takes anything away from knowing me, meeting me, watching me, listening to me, I hope that they take that away, that I'm always, no matter what, going to be brute and honest and authentic. So thank you for sharing that, man. And kind of still wrapping around this kind of high school path for you. I know graduating high school, going in that process of college and in college for the time period that you were was such a transitional challenge, life-altering time for you. So if you don't mind, could you just talk about that time period for you? What was it like graduating high school, going to college for the time you did, the struggles you went through to kind of understand college wasn't for you? Like, what was that time period like for you in terms of understanding who you truly were as a person and what was actually right for you in your life?
Yeah, I remember, I think one of the most embarrassing things in the world at the time, anyway, right? When you in it, right? Is like I said, this is back when Estem was elite. So this is the first time I ever saw somebody get a 5.0. I didn't even know this existed. I didn't even know you could get a 5.0. I said, how the hell do you get a 5.0? I thought all A's was the highest you could go, but if you had AB classes, the A was even higher. Right?
Yeah.
So I saw some of the top people in our class get 5.0s and 4.8s, and they're going to this college and they're studying this. And then when they called my name that day, bro, I actually didn't go to college right off the bat. I actually skipped a year. And so when they said my name, they just said my name. They didn't say he's going to this school and the average. They didn't say any of that. I was just happy to graduate.
Yeah. And
so that was very not embarrassing, but kind of embarrassing in a way. I felt the way, right? As a young teenager. I took the gap year. I tried barber college first because my dad was a barber, like I told you. Quickly found out that was not for me. That was some of the most boring shit I've ever done in my life. And I feel like to be a barber, you have to be an artist. You have to have a certain vision for how you want the cut to look. And that's just not my gift. And it just wasn't for me. And again, it goes back to understanding what do you love. If you don't do it to make other people happy. Don't do that. Right. And so I tried to preach. I tried to live what I was preaching. And so I decided to go to college. I still didn't honestly know what I wanted to do. I thought, well, I like to write. I love to speak. So maybe I'll do like English. It was so much reading, bro. I said, hell no, this is over with. I'm not doing that. Hell no. And so I switched my major to business. And then I realized in business, it was so much math. I said, hell no. No, I can't do this, man. But the breaking point for me that really taught me about identity and how much other people do stuff to make other people happy. If I can be brutally honest, I remember, man, me and my homeboys, we in the car, man. This back when I was smoking weed every day like a chimney. And we were in the car. We all smoking. I'm supposed to be in class somewhere, right? I'm skipping class. And we in the car just smoking and chilling, finna go get some food or something. And somehow we got on the topic of like what we all were majoring in. It's like 5 of us in the car, big car. And we're going around the car kind of just telling what we majoring in, what we want to do. And I guarantee, I BS you not, bro. 4 out of the 5 people in the car couldn't even tell me what they majored in or what they wanted to do with it. They said half of them were telling me, man, I only came to college so my mom would get off my back. I only came to college because I didn't know what else to do. I only came to college because I was at home bored, right? Whatever. Right. And these dudes are coming from other places in the country. They weren't just all from Arkansas. One of my homeboys from Chicago. This one from Memphis. Right. This one from here, whatever. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that a lot of people on this campus are probably only here to make somebody else happy. Or because they're so lost, they thought that it was their only alternative. Imagine how many people go every day doing something that they don't even like.
Yeah. Because
they're afraid of really leaning into what they like or going on such a journey to figure out what they like and trying and experimenting with enough things to find out what they like. Now, there's nothing wrong with college, right? If that's your path, but it's okay to also get a taste of college and be brutally honest with yourself and say, maybe this is not for me.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if you're not a teacher, a doctor, an architect, an engineer, like you said, sports journalism, something along those lines where you gotta have this in order to do it, it may not be for you. And that's okay. But I think the biggest thing it taught me is I'm not going to conform my life to somebody else's wants for me to make them happy. Because at the end of the day, when we do that, bro, it only makes us so miserable. Yeah, your parents are happy because they got something to brag about that you're in college, but you're miserable every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saying you in college and it sounds good and it sounds fancy, but you're not even happy doing it. You don't even know what you're doing in the college. At this point, you're just wasting money. You're in debt. And Trump already told you you're gonna pay it back. So what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so I think that transition, man, for me was really about identity and about identifying who I am, what I love, and what I wanted to do in my life. And again, in those bumping my head, in those making mistakes, my gift started to become clearer and clearer. But in order to do that, I had to go taste some things I didn't like first. I kind of always compare it to this. This is what I always say. This is one of my favorite analogies that I use. And this is a video that actually went viral too. I was at a school talking about how, you remember like at Sam's and Costco?
Mm-hmm.
You remember how on Sundays they used to have the samples
around
the freezers, right?
Yeah.
New things they wanted us to try. Right,
Yeah.
It might be fish, it might be pasta, it might be fish sticks, it might be some new juice, whatever. Right. The point of that sample was not just to give away free food, just to give it away. The point of it was to make you say, "Damn, that is really good. Where's the big bag on this aisle so I can get it and buy it and take it home?" And that helps their sales. It's the same thing with your dreams and your goals. You got to be willing to walk around and taste things. Try college, try a business, try a trade school, try barber school, try working with your family business, right? You got to try being a tax accountant. You got to try these things and say, this is either really good or this is fucking terrible. And being okay with spitting it out and throwing it away, or embracing it and saying, I want more of that. I want to try. I want to taste a bigger portion of that to see if I truly love it. And that's how you got to look at your dreams and your goals. That's how you figure out who you are. Is being willing enough to not be embarrassed by tasting things and saying, I hated that, or man, I love that. And that, I think, is what that journey you talking about taught me. It's okay to taste as many things as you want, and don't be embarrassed by what is disgusting to you, because your taste buds are different from somebody else's.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And I think that's what somebody out there that's lost right now and questioning their journey may need to hear. Man, keep tasting. You've only tasted 3 things, and you talking about you don't know what you want to do. You're like, you ain't tasted enough. It's 100 things out there for you to taste, right? And so I think that's what I would say that journey taught me the most. It's just about identity and trying as many things as I needed to until I figured out what I loved.
Yeah. Have there been any, and if so, who have they been in terms of, and I say this like maybe inspirations, mentors across your lifetime, and I mean that could be like a athlete that maybe you just love watching their work ethic, or maybe love listening to how they spoke, or maybe just again a mentor, someone worked closely with you, or someone just maybe from afar that you kind of watched and saw maybe how they ran their entrepreneurial business. You kind of wanted to see how they do their things, and you watch how they did their things to kind of instill it in your business. Have there been any people like that in your life? And if so, who have been maybe a few of those people in your life?
Absolutely. Somebody that's not very tangible, somebody that's not like necessarily in my everyday life, but like felt like a big brother mentor from afar, was some old head now by the name of Les Brown. I think he really helped me figure out my style of speaking. I used to listen to him every day in college. Like I would be up all night, bro. In the SGA office, man. I used to just burn both ends of the stick, man. Literally just dissecting his speeches, right? From his humor to the way he would take these pauses when he spoke, to the way that he would like take his crowd on this high. He would have them really ramped up, have them laughing and have them cracking up, and then he would come back with a point so strong they'd be about to cry. So he taught me how to crowd control. He taught me how to take them on a journey when you're speaking. That would be somebody I would say from afar was a great mentor to me.
Yeah.
And I just used to literally take notes and dissect him.
Yeah.
He got to the point where I wasn't even listening to what he was saying. I was watching his body language. I was watching his demeanor. I was watching how he would go from one subject to the next, and how his transitions were so smooth. I started looking at that stuff about me trying to be a better speaker. But somebody more tangible that I was with a lot. Dude in my life, man, named Darius Walton. Super well known in like the real estate space, investor. He's dope. He's a media mogul. He's from here, but he lives in Dallas now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Darius just let me, I call him Big Bro. We call him Juice. I remember him just letting me sleep on his couch when I ain't really had nowhere to go. I remember him buying me food. I remember him showing me how business worked, the basics of it. I remember him showing me how to build relationships. I remember him burning both ends of the stick, staying up all night, working, then getting up the next morning, going to an event and didn't miss a beat. So I remember seeing these things, and I'm like, I used to be like, man, this dude crazy. This dude up all night. But now that I'm older, I'm about how old he was when I was with him. I do the same stuff. I'm up all night, and I still get up and go ahead on my business. So a more tangible mentor that I feel like really instilled some stuff in me at a younger age when I was still trying to figure out college or business or trying to do both or whatever, got to be Juice. Now, of course, there are more influential people in my life, of course, but if I had to name one, I would say him because I was with him in the ugly parts of his business when he wasn't making any money, when he was penny pinching too. You feel me? But he'd never let you know it, right? And he always found a way. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is: resiliency, relationships, and doing what it is you have to do to make that dream a reality. And he taught me that, man. So I'm forever indebted to him in the way he treated me and treated me like a little brother and family. And he part of the reason I got this fire and this charm that I got today. I learned it from him. So yeah, I say he a super big influence for me, man.
I am intrigued to hear your answer on this because I don't know this, but I'm feeling it's going to be relatable. But what are your music artists like? What does Z Tidwell listen to on a regular day-to-day basis? What do you listen to in the gym? Like who do you be bumping? I want to know who you listen to on a day-to-day basis.
Bro. I think if you ever listen to my videos, bro, I like to listen to people that even if they ratchet and they rapping and they doing their thing, they talking crazy, they still. I love rappers that sing a little bit. So I love Rod Wave, right? I love No Cap. I love Rallo. I love who else heavy in my rotation? I love Papa. Who are some heavy dudes in my rotation right now? But also I'm very diverse, right? So I love Morgan Wallen. I love Benson Boone. I love storytellers, is what I would say. I love people that make you feel something with their music, from the beat to the harmonization to the hooks to the message. Even if it ain't saying nothing deep per se, I still love the wordplay. I love people that make me think. I've been listening to a new group called, not new, but new to me, called the Monophonics. They cold. I just love good music, bro. Good music that make you feel something. And I think that's one of the most beautiful love languages that you can have is somebody that puts you on the new music, whether it's a friendship, brotherhood, your girl, whatever. If somebody send me new music, you love me. You love me, bro. And so, yeah, I'm very diverse with my music, man. My playlist will confuse you, but I would say some of those are some of my favorites, heavy hitters that I'm probably going to be bumped as soon as we get off here.
Okay, I like that, man. I like you. You valid for that. I want to ask you, man. I remember one of your videos not too long ago.
Yeah,
it was you in the gym and you're working out and you kind of talking about how that first kind of perspective from someone that may not know you is your body, and your body kind of depicts how your work ethic is in life. Yeah. And so I want to first ask you, why is the gym so important to you? Yeah. But as well, what has that foundation in the gym set up for your work ethic in life?
It's so easy. It's so easy for us as humans to find a distraction that might not be the healthiest for us.
Yeah.
Right? All of us got a vice. All of us got a vice, right? Whether it's smoking, whether it's drinking, whether it's gambling, whether it's sports betting, everybody got a vice. But the gym was a way for me to find a more healthier vice. It's a way for me to, when I'm in there, bro, my mind is clear. When I'm in there, bro, I'm in the moment. Yeah. Nothing else matters. Whatever frustrations and anger I may have, or whatever I'm dealing with, it's gone for a little while. And I can take it out on those weights. I can take it out on the court. If I go do a basketball workout, I can take it out on my run, right? And just kind of forget about it. So if anything, it's a peace of mind for me, bro. It's a way for me to feel better about whatever it is I'm dealing with. And the clarity and the way it makes your body feel is second to none. I speak better when I work out first, right? Or if I worked out recently, I coach better. I think better. I'm quicker on my feet. I react better. Yeah, man. I think the biggest thing is the clarity it brings. Because think about it. If I'm able to get all of that out of me in that workout, both physically and mentally, I have no choice but to be sharp when I go speak, or when I go to this business meeting, or when I'm finna coach these kids. I'm sharp. I'm on my business. And so for me, bro, it's a mental fortitude. It's a different type of peace that it brings to me, and a different type of clarity it brings to me.
Yeah.
To help me be my best self. And what you said about that video was so cool, because don't get me wrong, there are a lot of overweight people that are successful. I'm not a super skinny dude. I've lost a lot of weight recently, but I'm not skinny. But there are a lot of people that are successful that are overweight, that are obese, and some more than others that are morbidly obese. But the real point of that was, like, that mentor told me that if somebody's morbidly obese, it's very rare that they are successful. And if they are, that's a rare gem. But if they're not, how can you tell me anything about business? How can you tell me anything about how to run my life when you're struggling to take care of your own life? You don't even have control over food. You don't even have control over moving your body when you have a choice to do that. How can you tell me about self-control or discipline or a lot of the things it takes in order to be successful at business in that life? And when they told me to me like that, I said, it sounds a little harsh, but that's real too, though. Right? Are you going to go listen to a trainer that's overweight? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? It kind of had that concept. So when they told us something like that, man, and my homeboy asked me that question like you're talking about on the video about, like, what has my journey taught me so far and why I take it so seriously, is it because when I walk in a room, not only do I want you to hear my message, but I want you to feel my energy. I want you to see that, oh, he has his life not perfect, but in order. He take care of his business. Yeah. I want you to feel that from me. And I think it just makes the message that much stronger. So if anything, it gives me social proof that I'm not just talking about it, I'm doing it. I think so. Yeah, man, that's why it's so important to me.
I know all of your work is not tainted towards the younger generation, but you do so much in terms of the youth, whether that's just speaking, giving them opportunity to work for your car detailing, opportunities, helping giving food out to the young people or allowing them to help and work out in those environments, giving it out to other people. Right. Why has that always been so important for you? Why has that always kind of been a more focal point in your work in terms of the youth and kind of giving back and helping them and putting your words of wisdom into the youth and what you do in your work?
Well, like we talked about earlier, man, a lot of the most beautiful things come from the most broken times in our life. And a lot of people don't know this. I don't talk about it a lot anymore, especially lately in my writings in the later years, because I feel like beating the same story is kind of exhausting. And also, I think when you grow and evolve from certain parts of your life, it's okay to let the past be the past. But a lot of people don't know this. I was homeless for at one point in my life. So the passion to take care of other homeless people came from that, knowing how bad it felt. Right? Sometimes your passion can stem from your pain. And the reason you're so passionate about wanting to help a person is because when they're in a similar situation that you may have been in, you remember that was a terrible feeling. You remember that they must be lonely. That must be heavy what they're dealing with, because you were dealing with the same thing. Right? That's why oftentimes the best healers are often the ones that go through the most shit. Because they can heal you in such a way and speak to the most painful parts of you, because they've been through the exact same thing. They know what it takes to heal that, because they had to do it for themselves or somebody else had to do it for them. Right? And so that's what it is, bro. It's me remembering, man, I know how bad that felt, so let me help them. Right? Or people thinking that because I had two parents, that my household was just peaceful. I probably dealt with the most shit from having two parents that most people deal with from having one. Now, am I comparing my journey to somebody that only had a single parent? No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. I know some people that would kill to have their dad, even though it was rough for me and mine, right? But my dad at times was a horrible man. And he wasn't always the best father when it comes to, like, the emotional side of things. Yeah, he was there physically, but he wasn't always there mentally. He wasn't always there for you from a heartfelt standpoint. Yeah. His presence wasn't always felt. He was present, but his presence wasn't always felt in my life. He missed a lot of stuff. And so that impacted me as a young man. And it took me having other mentors to realize how important it is to have more than just one person to look up to. So that too also made me realize, oh, I got to be that for these kids too. I got to be that for them. And I'll never forget, last thing, it's almost 2:30, so I gotta So last like he came up to me one time, bro, just crying, like tears just falling, and then what's wrong, little Johnny, or whatever his name was, and I'm like, what's happened? What's wrong, man? And he said, man, why my dad don't love me? He like, what did I do? I try to stay out of trouble. I try to make good grades. I try to be nice to my mom and respectful and take care of her. But he just doesn't love me. He doesn't come to any of my stuff. He doesn't call me. He doesn't show up for my birthdays. Like, he just pouring down crying. I was damn near about to cry. And I was like, yeah, I can't leave these kids. I can't give up on them. They need me. And so again, the most painful thing sometimes, you discover the most beautiful things about your life. And so hearing the pain in that little boy voice, remembering my own pain, and seeing the pain in other people's eyes when they're dealing with a lot of the things you talked about, the homelessness, the hunger, the lack of role models, I just felt responsible, bro, to be that for them and help them and guide them and mold them. Because if I didn't do it, I felt like, who was? So I remember how much it helped me. So yeah, man, that's why. That's why.
Appreciate it, man. I know you got to go. This was fun, and I hope that this is always my goal, but I hope someone watching or listening is taking some notes or is taking some portion of this and just applying it to their life, applying it to someone else's life, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you, man. This has been a work in so many years for us to be able to sit down finally and do this. So I'm grateful we were able to do it. I enjoyed it. I learned so much. I related to so much. I laughed. I kind of said sorry on some of the things you said, but I appreciate you so much for taking some time out, sitting with me, and doing this for me, man.
I appreciate you having me, D. And now it's time for you to come on my show, man. We're gonna make you do it.
Absolutely, man. Just let me know, man. Appreciate you, man.
Yes,
Take care. Take care, boss. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Subscribe, leave a like, and comment as well. All love to you guys. God bless. Take care.
Yep.